You're listening to Stagger Cast, brought to you by Stagger Gear.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Stagger Cast. This will be deer season update number 3. I'm sitting here with Greg Gove. You probably saw Greg on the gear podcast we did, and then on the Rodney podcast. You'll be seeing more Greg this deer season as we're doing a lot of hunting together. So you'll definitely be on some more deer season updates with me, and sitting in as well on a guest podcast this Friday. But we'll talk more about that towards the end. But how's everything going for you, Greg, so far this season? I know it's been a weird season, at least for me so far. But how's it been for you?
Yeah, weird's the name of the game, really. Like Isaac said in the last podcast, there's been like a total lack of any mass crop in the woods. So like everything, all my plans, all my cameras, it's been really hard to get bucks on camera so far. So it's gonna be interesting the next couple of weeks. I got to start laying some sign down now that the leaves are on the ground. But been bow hunting, had a little success bow hunting. Ended up getting a doe a couple Saturdays ago. And that was a pretty cool story. You want me to go into that?
Meat doe?
Yeah, the old meat doe.
Yeah, let's might as well. Yeah, hit us with that real quick.
Yeah, so I pretty much hunt bow down behind my house, and there was a little 5-pointer running around and a bunch of does. And my goal was to get a doe because with Vermont now you can only get one buck a year, and I really enjoy hunting with my dad, and he only rifle hunts. So like if you tag out early, you're kind of up shit creek. So my father-in-law ended up getting the 5-pointer one of the first days there, and that was really cool. And then I think it was last Saturday, I was sitting in the stand my stand overlooks a couple apple trees, and the does have been coming out, but it was consistently like a half an hour after shooting light was over. So, and this is my first year trying to run video as well. So I've got a video camera and a GoPro. So I've been videoing partridges and rabbits and gray squirrels and all that stuff. But
getting all the B-roll out of the way.
Yeah, getting the old B-roll out of the way, and having a lot of fun doing it too. And then, with like 15 minutes to go in shooting light, I looked over to my right, and there she was, like 10 yards under the tree, headed towards the apple tree. Mm-hmm. So I got the camera spun around, and she kind of stood there and was looking up towards the field, and got the pin on her and shot, and double lunged. I was pretty sure I hit her perfect double lung. She kind of like took right off and peeled out of the field, and I heard it crash like 5 seconds later. So I was pretty pumped up. So went up, got my kid, got my father-in-law. We gave her like an hour and went back down, and we had a bitch of a time finding any blood. I mean, we found the arrow that was like completely blood soaked, so I felt pretty good about that. And then also I had both cameras rolling, but as everybody knows, the camera light was like completely gone.
Yeah,
so,
you were getting right down there last few minutes.
Yeah, so which sucks because it would have really been a nice video, but I could see enough of it, and I lightened it up enough to tell that it was a good shot, and watched it about 1 million times and tried to analyze it. But we went back down. I had my kid with me, and I'm colorblind, so I have kind of a bad time finding blood. And so, but if it's wet, and if it's like fresh and wet and at night, I can pick it out pretty good. But so we started looking. We couldn't find any blood, and then all of a sudden, like right in the middle of the field, started finding like a fine mist of blood. There wasn't like big drops. It was like a mist. And so we followed that for like 100 yards, and my kid was videoing the whole retrieval and all that. Nice. So it was kind of cool. Yep. And kept finding like this fine mist. I've never seen anything like it. And then we got over to where the field ended and where the woods started, and it was all pine. And like, anybody knows it's hard to get blood on pine needles. Oh yeah. And I was just kind of flashing my light around, and I looked to the right, and there she was laying there. And whenever I find a deer on a blood trail, like whether it's my deer or anybody's deer, I'll just shut my flashlight off and like reach out and like with my hand to like shake. So I reached out and like shook my father-in-law's hand, and he just looks at me. He goes, "You asshole, you found it." And I was like, "Oh yeah." And Ryan was videoing, so we got that part on video. And but my theory is it was a double lung pass through, but the bottom hole got plugged up somehow, and I think that mist was probably coming out of her nose or something.
Yeah, her breathing.
But anyways, no blood trail, but she didn't go 100 yards and she was stiff as a board. So she was dead within, a minute after shooting. So that was awesome. And getting to share that with my kid and my father-in-law, and a pretty cool experience. So
meat in the freezer for sure.
Meat in the freezer. And then we cut it all up ourselves. And so from the get-go to the very end, we're with it, and we got a bunch of meat out of it, and it was awesome. So
that's good.
That's it for bow hunting for me so far. I've done a lot of other, hunting, but just nothing to really speak of,
Bow season this year, like you said, kind of going back to like the mass crops, and I haven't really hardly found any beech nuts that are loaded up like they were last year. Acorns are very scarce. I mean, up where I hunt in Vermont, there's not a lot of acorns to begin with, but down in New Hampshire, where I've been doing a lot of time looking around, there's like very, very few down there. So it's kind of been a weird bow season. From what I've seen so far, from some of the deer that we've gutted and stuff, and from what other people have been shooting, they're really loading up on the apples right now, it seems like, for the ones up my way.
That 5-pointer my father-in-law got was dressed out at 142, and I think it's a 1.5-year old deer.
That's a heavy deer.
I say 5-pointer. It's an old Vermont 5-pointer, but it was really a 3-pointer, legal 3. But so for, tons of fat on it. So they're going in healthy.
Yeah.
And they got to be somewhere. They're just because they're not, they didn't totally disappear. So we just got to figure out where they are. But
like before the season. So kind of how my bow season's been so far is I've been hunting with my good buddy Grant, and I've been doing more just camera work. I've only taken the bow out a few times, but him and I've been going out together most nights there, and I'll sit with the camera and he's on the bow. But before the season, we had a couple real nice bucks kicking around. We were watching them. And then it was almost like a light switch. It was like October 1st, right around there at the end. Kind of when it started getting cold there for a few days. Mm-hmm. Everything just kind of seemed to switch up. And those bucks that were, super consistent, it's just a transition period. But those bucks that were super consistent there right at the end of September kind of disappeared. And we were hunting them hard for 2 weeks. And one of the first couple days there, we had a good run in. It was 12 yards with this little 6-pointer. We got really good video of that, but passed him up. And then kind of after those first 2 weeks of hunting those bucks, chasing them around, trying to get them straightened out, which was tough. We kind of just switched the mission to, getting a doe, getting some meat in the freezer. And that's kind of where we've been at. Haven't gone out as much. Been doing more scouting, checking cameras, doing all that stuff, bouncing around and everything else. So we haven't been out as much, but we got a little video coming for you guys. It's a little meat mission for some doe meat. So we'll be doing that. Dropping that here before too long. But they definitely seem to be in, some sort of transition, or they're a little behind or something, or, with that lack of food source, lack of like available, mass crops and stuff. It definitely seems a little weird, definitely heavier on the fields and the apples.
There's definitely, like, they say there's no such thing as the October lull, but the cameras, I know they're moving somewhere, but they're not. Yeah. They're definitely not moving where I can kill them or where I am right now. Yeah, so.
The good buck pictures for me the last, 2.5 to 3 weeks have kind of been, it's been sporadic. There's not a lot of patterns to it. One here, one there, but it's definitely not as good as it was, I would say, as far as cameras go last year, the year before that, just because of the lack of feed. But everything's going to change here in the next couple of days. I mean, it's the 26th today. The next week or so, a lot's going to change. Hopefully, they'll start to really get up on their feet, start looking for does, running them around. Actually,
one major thing's going to change, like me and you getting the hell out of the state and going to Maine.
Yeah, well, we'll be in New Hampshire that first week there once muzzleloader kicks off. But that looks like that's going to be a pretty warm week there too. So we'll see what it does. Everything's going to be changing up here. I'm really excited to get out there and carry a gun around in the woods and get out of Vermont. That's kind of part of why I've been on the camera in Vermont as well. Is it's hard for me to really want to use my one buck tag in Vermont with a bow per se. I'd rather have somebody else, get one and me on camera and get to experience the whole thing, because, I love tracking bucks in Vermont. It's my favorite state to, track deer in. And it'd be hard for me to use my buck tag in Vermont for bow unless it was something that was really, really special. Mm-hmm. But we'll see what happens. We got a couple more days of bow left, and
you had some excitement this past weekend, though.
Yeah. This past weekend was the youth weekend, and took out my cousin's son. He's 13, I think now. I've taken him out the last 3 years. He got a doe his first year, and a little 4-pointer last year. And this year he got a spike horn right in the first morning here at youth. And in that same, so we're hunting a big chunk of woods. It's a big private chunk, farmland type stuff. And my other cousin, Bucko, he was in there. He has a son that's, I think, 10 or 11. And they were in that same piece, and we kind of coordinated how we wanted to, set up. And there's been a lot of deer kicking around in there. And we put a plan together, and it came out perfect. We ended up getting a spike horn right off. It was like 8:45 in the morning, all on video. My buddy Grant was there. He was filming everything. And, Carter, their Bucko's son, he got a spike horn about 10 minutes later. It worked out perfect. And so we got our spike horn. And then about 10 minutes later, the one that he got, and then there was another small buck came through and worked away right over to them. It was about perfect. But for youth weekend, that was kind of what we did there with that was just a little bump. So Grant there with the camera, he sat with Tucker, and Bucko was just around the corner there. And I just did a little wind bump through a piece, and it just happened to work out perfect. And the deer were flying out. And I mean, it doesn't get much more special than you seeing kids, shoot bucks on youth weekend.
Cool video too. I've seen a little bit of the video, and
yeah, we're gonna do a full youth weekend recap video with we got all the kill shot, follow up, all that stuff, all the other deer coming through. It was a good morning in the woods for sure. Something I look forward to every year is that youth hunting weekend. It's special. Yeah. But the whole video is coming pretty soon. We'll drop that probably in the next week or so, and kind of get a peek into what everything went down. But
we were cutting that deer up last night, and we got the head off, and he's going to do a Euro mount. So he's getting that kid's getting to have a nice little trophy room going between the turkeys and the deer he's already got.
Yeah, he's killed a nice couple turkeys with me, and last year he got a 4-pointer. He got that one mounted. That was his first buck, which came out good. Matt Renault up in was he Mounts Bay? He did that. It came out fantastic. So he's getting rolling. He's got this youth season. He's got one more youth season next year for deer. So hopefully we're going to aim for maybe a rack buck next year for him. He's excited. So he's hooked though. That's the whole purpose. You get these kids into it, let them be successful, and they'll take off from that. It's the next generation coming up through, and you got to protect that and expand that at all costs.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's the same piece of land my kid got his first year in.
Yeah, it's a special little spot there.
I mean, just an awesome little spot.
Yep. And it was Jeff Doyle's dad, I think, talked on the podcast, Jim, there, talking about the importance of taking kids to where they can be successful on these days. We all love hunting big woods and stuff like that, but you got to get the kids somewhere where they can see deer, be successful, get to experience that type of stuff.
Yep.
And Jim said that perfectly. So yeah, we've been hunting. It's just like about 300 acre piece of like farmland, fields, woods mixed together, but a lot of deer in there.
Yeah, and
it's been good to us. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't worry if your kid's not like hardcore. I mean, my kid is not a hardcore hunter. He goes, to spend time with me, but he loves like the blood trail stuff. I mean, he lives for that. He'd love to go track deer. He's getting into the video stuff. He loves turkey hunting because it's instant action. He loves bass fishing because it's instant action. So he doesn't have to be Larry Benoit. You can get him out there and get him spending time with you, and at least keep him part of it.
Yeah.
That's the main key. So,
I'm excited that he's getting into the video stuff. You're gonna have your own little editor right there.
Yeah, he's really excited about that. So hopefully he can help us out a little bit with that. But he's taking it in school right now, and he's a good asset to have on the blood trail too. So
yep. Yeah, so after you got your bow deer there, you haven't been bow hunting much since you got that doe, right? You kind of just been letting everything.
No, I've been kind of getting the honeydew list done, and because I know November's going to be a pretty rough one. And then also the most fun I've had this month is when I went to Maine. I went up for a long weekend last week and took my father-in-law, who's like, he absolutely lives for partridge hunting, and he doesn't get out of the rig much because he's 65 and his knees are bad, and he's kind of scared of the woods, and he just likes to ride around. So, and up in Maine, as everybody knows, you can ride those paper company roads and see partridge and see moose and everything. So we headed up last week, and I just wanted to make sure he had a good time, because in November I'm kind of going to be bailing on him and doing my own thing. So I took him up, and we saw like 19 deer on the way up, which is like unheard of.
That's heading to like Eastern Maine, right?
Yeah. We Northeastern. And on the way, we stopped up where me and you were going to be going, and I checked the camera. And the camera's been sitting there since September 1st. There was like 60 pictures on it, right on a scrape. A few small bucks, and then a nice big buck that we hadn't had on camera yet.
Yeah, because we talked about that camera pull over the summer.
Yeah.
In the gear episode we did, where there's some real nice ones kicking around up there. But yeah, another new one, another real nice one kicking around.
We know there's at least 3 that are like knocking on 200 pounds
in that range somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But no, we went way the hell up to like Holton, Maine, which is way, way up northeast.
Yep.
And the first day we were seeing lynx every day. The lynx up there are not scared of you. They're just kind of walking up the road. So we got those on video.
Yeah, you got some cool video of that. Yeah, it's funny. They don't even care.
Yeah, we saw moose every day. When the moose, it was funny. Like the first row we went out, I stopped and take a leak, and I could hear a moose grunting like immediately off the side of the road.
As you're taking a piss?
Oh yeah, it was just random. And then I heard him raking a tree and stuff. So I called to him, and he might have been coming, but we didn't want to wait an hour. But no, we got our limit of partridge every day. It was a freaking awesome trip. We were seeing deer up there where we haven't seen deer in a lot of years. We were seeing like way up on the Irving Paper Company land, like 30 miles up on the back roads, where we used to see deer like 10 years ago. When we haven't seen deer, there's deer this time. So
that's a good sign.
That means they're coming back. But Maine's just freaking awesome. I mean, we got an Airbnb up there, and it was a sweet little off-grid cabin. And
you're off-grid, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
And we brought, we had partridge for dinner and deer and moose, and it was just cool. But then even just going outside at night and looking up in the sky, and the stars up there are not like in Vermont. Like there's so little light pollution up there that it's just 100 times better looking up at the sky than it is in Vermont. That's kind of nerdy, but it just adds to it,
Yeah, no, Maine's awesome.
I'd move up there tomorrow if I could. I really would. So we didn't want to come home, but we did.
Did you guys stay well hydrated up there?
Yeah, there was some Rocky Mountain treats to be had, but we made up for it in the middle of the day. We were going through cuts and looking for sheds and stuff like that. But there was a little bit of that going on.
Yeah. See, how's the bird population up there this year? I know birds kicked off, and I heard some guys saying some areas are a lot better than others around Maine right now.
So last year there was birds everywhere, literally everywhere. I mean, there was like groups of like 6, 7, 8 birds. This year was a lot tougher. There's still birds, but like it took us a full day to get a limit.
Yeah.
And there wasn't the big groups. There was like, I think the biggest groups we saw were like 3.
Yep.
But they were switched on too. Like Vermont partridge are like, they're switched on, they're gone. Maine partridge tend to like kind of stand there and screw around and look at you. But, we were noticing like walking some old cuts, a partridge would dart out in front of us, and all you have to do is kind of go into the woods, get into the thick shit, and they were right there. They were 10 yards away, just waiting you out, wanting you to walk by. So that was really neat. So, but yeah, it was a great trip, and I can't wait to get back up there in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm hoping the birds are a little better this year in Western. Because last year we were dobbing around, there wasn't a lot of birds last year at all.
No.
But like 2020, it seemed like they were everywhere.
Yeah, they were everywhere.
And then I don't know what it was, winter or had a bad hatch or just got hunted hard. But last year, I think I saw like 3 birds from the road for 2 weeks up there.
Wow, that's fresh. That gets old quick.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not bird hunting when you're deer hunting, but it sometimes adds a little excitement when you're heading to another spot and you run into a bird or something. But I saw a decent amount out in the woods, but not like what it was that first year. So hopefully there'll be more birds kicking around this deer season up there, because that's always an added bonus. It's fun, shooting birds, during deer season between spots or whatever. Big time.
No, the moose looked healthy up there too. I mean, I'm sure they're full of ticks, but we saw a cow and a calf, and then we saw like 6 different bulls. Yeah, and they all looked good. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully maybe that's up far northeast enough where there isn't a lot of ticks up there.
Is the season done up there?
So as we were leaving Sunday, there was so many people coming in. They were getting ready. I think a cow hunt started there Monday.
Oh, kind of like what you had last year.
Yeah. Yep. So they were getting ready to go cow hunting, I believe. But we'll see. They were definitely coming in for some reason. So I believe there's a cow season starting. But
you got any game plan rolling in New Hampshire this weekend, or are you kind of just gonna spitball it and go?
So as of right now, tomorrow the muzzleloader doe starts in Vermont, so I'm gonna go mess around a little bit tomorrow, And then Saturday, muzzleloader New Hampshire starts, and I'm planning on hitting my spot over there and just kind of trying to like almost grid search. I mean, go in where I've been in multiple times this year where the bucks were last year, and I'm just going to kind of expand on that and just kind of work the area and try to find them, because I know they're in there, and there's still does working through there too. So there's a really good funnel in there where I might go opening morning because I know that it does get hunted a little bit. And a few times this spring when I was shed hunting, I would come off the top of that mountain and I'd bump deer. Every time I went up in there, I'd bump deer, and they would go right down through that funnel, because I would get, I had a cell cam there, and it was every time they came through, it would notify me. So I know darn well that's a really good place to go when there's other hunters in the woods. So might start the morning there and then climb the mountain and mess around, but nothing concrete and no target buck to speak of. Gandalf is eluding me right now, but I know he's still alive.
Yeah, that's a giant one. He's going to be in there somewhere. That's a big piece of woods too, so he could be anywhere, just not in the way the food is this year. Yeah, it's definitely. But that was loaded with that was loaded, right?
Last year was loaded, and there was
pile
probably
of deer in there.
I don't know, 8 to 10 different bucks.
Yeah, I think they're just spread out.
Yeah,
more not as concentrated on single food sources like that.
Yeah,
that whole ridge side is all acorns, right? You couldn't walk without tripping on them, you said.
Yeah, and there was beech nuts everywhere too. Like I swiped my hand on the ground once bow hunting, and I picked up a literal handful of beech nuts and acorns in the same. Like the deer literally didn't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So.
We'll see what this year. I'll be curious to see how everybody does in the next week or so over New Hampshire. See how the first week goes. With the weather and the
weather's gonna be just suck as usual.
It's gonna be warm, but there's a few days of rain in there, so I'm sure people will be able to creep around and get on something. People that are sitting, I'm sure, will have some luck too. But hopefully we'll get some weather because after that first week in New Hampshire. So I'm gonna dob around New Hampshire for that first week, kind of living in the truck and going south, going north, bouncing around, checking
little TBS
some
action.
Yeah, little trucks and bucks and everything else, and inside joke. We'll see what happens. But yeah, gonna go south, I think, first. I got some cameras out down there and kind of know where some bucks are kicking around down there. I found this one. So when I was doing some scouting, I've been putting some miles on down there, running down mountainsides. And when I kind of went into the scouting plan down there, I looked on maps and cut logs and stuff and figured out where there was like the most like 4 to, 7-8 year old cuts where they cut a few years ago, and kind of narrowed it down from there. And then I just went in there, put some boots on the ground, found some oak clumps, and I actually found there's this one area that has a good amount of oaks in it. 2 big clumps, one up on the top, one down below, a cut. And there's a real nice one in there that I'm hoping to lay eyes on and get a crack at. We got a bunch of cameras in there and stuff. So I'm excited to get down there. But after New Hampshire, we're heading up to Maine. We got a camp rented in Maine for that second week. I know it looks like it's going to be pretty warm up there, but we can hope and pray for snow, but we'll see.
It's getting progressively cooler every week, so we might be a week off, but we can always on a whim hop right back up. So
anytime you're hunting's good though,
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm just excited to get up there.
I know you don't like talking like overselling your stuff, but I got to give a quick update on the Stagger gear that I've been wearing. So
what you got?
I've been running the fingerless gloves during bow, and those have been absolutely awesome.
Oh, good.
Just recently, when it got a little colder, I switched to the carbines, and I've been running them ever since. But you released those hoodies the other day, and also the limited edition T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
And Jesus, I've had everybody I have is calling me, give me a hoodie, give me a T-shirt.
Good,
so the design on that T-shirt is awesome. So
yeah, we're happy with that. It turned out. That was a cool little bonus piece, and I think we'll drop some limited edition tees here and there just to keep it fun, something to look forward to. But
the guy that we rent a cabin, or we typically rent off a guy up in Smyrna, Maine, and his name's Lenny Keys, and he has Keys Trading Post, and I had the Stagger stuff on, and he goes, "What the hell's that?" He's up. They're up right by Canada. I said, "Well, if you don't know now, you will in a year." So I said, "You'll have all sorts of stuff in there in a year." So
hopefully, we'll see.
He was all interested in it, so it's pretty limited up there as far as what they get.
Yeah. And kind of a little update on so everybody that pre-ordered a jacket there knows this, but so we have more jackets on the way and stuff. But our finished stitching is done up in Canada, for those that don't know, and we're just waiting on customs to clear them back across the border. They've been dragging their feet a little bit with it, which is why it's taking a little bit longer to get the jackets here. But they're done, completed, just waiting for them to release them to us. And as soon as they do, we're getting them shipped out. And, you know, it sucks that they're not here quite yet. And we want to get them to you, obviously, as fast as can be. But I guess it's best case scenario that it's going to be a little warm this first week because there's not a whole lot of wool wearing going on. But we'll get it to you as soon as we can, for sure. And as soon as they get here, they're coming out to you. So
yeah, it's not lack of trying. I mean, they've been done for 20 some odd days, 30
almost,
days, you know?
Almost 20 days, yeah.
So yeah,
But,
I mean, it's just one of them things.
That's the world we live in now. It's delays and backlogs and everything. But hopefully everything will straighten out here and we'll get them to you.
Can't even buy a box of 3006, you know?
I had to order mine online. I got mine from Kansas. I think I had some sporting goods store down there, had a bunch in stock, so I ordered 3-4 boxes. And that was actually just came in. I'm gonna go do some shooting tonight, make sure the gun's good, and get the new muzzleloader sighted in. I just got a CVA Acura MR mountain rifle with a peep on it, so I'm excited to get that sighted in and carry that around this weekend. But should be. I'm looking forward to it. Season's just kicking off. Everything's starting to get going. A lot of stuff's going to change in the deer woods in the next week or so, so it's going to be exciting. And for all of you guys that are heading out, muzzleloader this weekend or Maine or anywhere, send us some pictures this season. We'll do a little roll call before each episode and send us a picture of your deer, the weight of it, state you got it in, and maybe a little bit of details on how you got it or something. And we'll do a little roll call and kind of list off some stuff. But
excellent.
Yeah, hopefully some 200-pound, a bunch of 200-pounders this year for you guys, and look forward to seeing them all out there.
We got our GoPro. We've been working on a GoPro mount too. We're all set up to try to record everything from here on out. That's been a fun little project. Yeah,
there'll be a decent amount of content coming on the Stagger YouTube page as we talked about before this year. We got guys out there filming and recording and doing a bunch of stuff this season. Yeah, so we just figured out our setup for the GoPros and all that stuff. So you'll probably see some details on that on the YouTube page as well.
The Stagger sled's all decaled and ready.
Oh yeah, what'd you do? You bought a jet sled?
I bought a little jet sled.
Put a bunch of stickers on it.
Pimped it out and roped it up, and it's ready to go. And we're gonna use it.
Do you have a cart?
I do have a game cart too. Yeah, okay, so I'll bring that as well.
Yeah, bare ground would be good with a game cart. I mean, I guess those sleds work good on bare ground too.
Yeah, it's like a crapshoot. The carts only work good on like logging roads. If you have to go over logs and stuff, it's kind of hard. But
hopefully we get some blood in that sled this weekend. We'll be hopefully a little dragon party going on.
I'll drill holes in the bottom of it for drain it so it can drain out.
Kind of podcast going forward, which Isaac talked about in the last deer update he did, and we kind of talked about it before. We're just going to keep it weekly or we're gonna try to drop as many podcasts as we can over the next month, really, with deer season. We're gonna be getting out of the woods and sitting down and talking, so we're gonna record it and get it uploaded for you. Keep all you guys in the loop and sit down with some people and just keep the deer stories flowing and all the information we got from the season. And so if you guys have anything you guys want us to talk about throughout the deer season, let us know on our social media pages or reach out to us on the website. But we got a really cool episode coming Friday. This Friday, we will be sitting down with, you ever see that 300-pound buck in Maine in 2018 there?
Yeah, I did. That was
so
humongous.
Brendan Moore, who got that deer, that was 300 pounds in Maine. I think he hung for 2 days and it was still 300 pounds way up north. He's going to sit down with us Friday morning and we're going to record a podcast, talk tracking, talk big bucks, talk everything Maine.
Yep.
Get you guys fired up for the Maine deer season as it kicks off this weekend. And I think we're going to record it, edit it, and put it up that night. So be looking for that this Friday. That'll be the 28th. It's the 26th now, so this will be going live tonight. And then we'll get that one recorded Friday. And then after that, we're heading hunting.
Can I give a quick plug?
Yeah, what you got?
So we had a lot of window time up in Maine, and we were really getting sick of the same old crap. So we found this channel on Sirius, and it's channel 55, and it's called Red, White, and Booze. Okay. So it's a little bit of rock and roll, a little bit of country, but there was 2 really funny songs that my father-in-law really identified with. And anybody knows my father-in-law, and he's a pretty good expert drinker, but there was one that adequately described his previous marriage. And the title of the song was, She Has a Drinking Problem, and It's Me. And the second one was The Power of Positive Drinking. So
I never heard of that.
Oh, yeah, it's old stuff. Yeah, it's old. So tune to channel 55, Red, White, and Booze, Sirius.
What's the channel that we listen to over in toward Eustis Way.
Oh, that's TOS, the Mountain of Pure Rock.
Mountain of Pure Rock.
Yeah,
that's a good.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
WTOS is always like on in my truck because Vermont doesn't have a cool station like that. Just a nice like rock channel. So
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. You got to have tunes, man.
Yeah. Well, we can kind of wrap it up. I'll say we got a little bit of a sale going on Stagger Gear website right now. If you use the code Stagger 2022 when you check out, that's STAGR 2022. You get 15% off all orders. That runs through Friday. So if you want to get stocked up before the season gets here, go in there, get yourself some gloves, hats, all that stuff. We got more capes on the way that should be here any day. And then the remainder of the jackets will be flown in here as well. So head on over to the website, punch that code in. You get some sweet discounts and get geared up for the season. And we'll keep you guys in the loop with everything. We got that new podcast coming Friday, and we'll see you guys out there. Thanks for tuning in.